Today we're going to do Unit 34, Lesson 2 in your language book. Our first step is phonemic awareness and phonics. And today we're going to be learning new sound spelling patterns for n as in sign and as in limb. Let's review. Some English phonemes or sounds are represented in multiple ways. Phonograms, or sets of letters, often represent a single phoneme or sound. For example, rap, the WR represents while the W is silent. Or new, the letters KN represent while the K is silent. Let's turn to your interactive text, page 118. We are going to listen to the sounds, repeat each word, identify the consonant sound that is heard in all of the words in the column, label the column with that sound from the sound bank. So you can definitely use these sounds more than once. Then we're going to underline the letters in each word that represent the common consonant sound, circle the letter that is silent, and repeat the process with the remaining columns. Okay, the first one is design. Repeat it, design. Then we have sign, and we have rain. Say this last one, rain. Design, sign, and rain. So, what sound do you hear at the end of all of those words? That is right. You hear the n. You're an N sound. Okay, now we need to figure out which letters in each word represent the n sound. In all of these, you see the letters G, N. But you don't hear the G, you only hear the N. So what I'd like you to do is to underline GN in all of these words with my beautiful underlining here and circle the G because it's silent. That's fantastic, isn't it? Let's look at our next one. Climb, comb, and thumb. Climb, comb, and thumb. You don't hear the B in these words. You only hear the at the end. So let's write Then we will underline the letters that they all have in common. That's the MB. And we'll circle this letter that is silent. We don't say comb or thumb. All of those letter B's are silent. Our next column, hymn, column, and autumn. At the end of each one of those words, you hear You don't hear the N. So you're going to underline MN in all three of those words. And you're going to circle the N because it is silent. Our last column, calm, salmon, and palm. In these words, you hear at the end of words, but you don't hear the L. So you're going to underline LM in all three of those words. Then you're going to circle the L because you cannot hear it. It is silent. I know my circles look terrible. Now let's answer these questions. Which consonant is pronounced in the GN sound spelling pattern? Let's look here. The design, sign, and rain all have GN. I know it's hard to tell with my circles. You don't hear the G, you only hear the N. Which sound has three different sound spelling patterns shown in the columns above? Well, that would be the You can see it can be spelled MB, MN, or LM, but they all have the sound Which consonant is pronounced in the MB, MN, and LM sound spelling pattern? So you don't hear the B, the N, or the L. you only hear the letter M. Now we'll move on to step 2. The goal of this section is to read and spell high-frequency words in context. Let's review these essential words. Often, island, ninth, close, bargain, and sword. Put the words in alphabetical order and write them on the lines. Write one sentence for each essential word. Check that each sentence uses sentence signals, capitalization, commas, and end punctuation. Do this now. When you turn in your work, I'll check and see that you have done this correctly. Next, we're going to look at word fluency. This is page R35 if you have your interactive textbook. If not, I just want you to follow along while I read. Then I want you to record yourself reading and either email the recording to me or upload it to Google Classroom. Record yourself reading the entire page. The words are bargain, close, island, ninth, often, sword, island, bargain, ninth, sword. These are the words that you just used as your essential words in the sentences on the page before. Go ahead and record yourself now. In our vocabulary and morphology step today, we are going to learn the meanings of additional Greek combining forms and create words using all the Greek combining forms that we've learned. So to review, Greek combining forms are morphemes, which are the smallest meaningful parts of words from the Greek language. These morphemes can be put together in the same way that two small words combine to create a compound word. For example, phono plus gram is phonogram, meaning a symbol representing a sound. Micro plus graph is a micrograph, meaning a very small drawing. Greek combining forms can often be placed in different positions in words, for example, at the beginning in phonograph, or as the second position in telephone. Euphony is when some Greek combining forms, when placed in the first position, have the letter O added. This makes the word easier to pronounce and more agreeable sounding. Sounds that are agreeable have the quality of euphony. For example, graph and scope. Graphoscope. We've already learned some Greek combining forms in Unit 32 and Unit 33. Today we're going to talk about the Unit 34 Greek combining forms. The first one is arch. Arch means to rule or to govern. For example, anarchy, archive, or hierarchy. Aristo means best, like aristocrat or aristocratic. Crat shows rule, strength, or power, like an autocrat or a democrat. Demo means people, anti-democratic, democratic, demographer. Derm means skin, so dermal, dermatology, epidermis. And we have pod, which means foot, as in tripod, podiatrist, or podium. Polis is a city. We have a metropolis. Polit is also a city, like a geopolitical, metropolitan, or political. We have pseudo, which is false or counterfeit, like pseudomorph or pseudonym. Psych, as in mind, soul, or spirit, like a psychologist in psychology or psyche. And we have theo, which is God, theocrat, theologian, or theology. See if you can build some words with Greek combining forms on page 120 of your interactive text. Pause the video, and when you're done, come back and we'll check these. So let's look at these. Number 1, demo plus crassy, democracy, literally means people rule. Tri and pod literally means 3 feet. Theocracy, theocracy, means God rule. Monarch literally means one rule, monarch. Psychologist is a mind specialist, a psychologist. Moving on to step 4, we're going to talk about noun clauses. Our goal is to identify noun clauses and the words that introduce them. A noun clause is a type of dependent clause that acts as a single noun. It has the same function in a sentence as a single noun. When a noun clause functions as an appositive, it is often separated from the noun it is renaming by commas. A noun clause can begin with that, what, whatever, which, whichever, who, whoever, whom, whomever, and whose. As some of these words are the same as the relative pronouns that introduce adjectival clauses, it is necessary to look at the function of the clause in the sentence to distinguish between noun and adjectival clauses. We learned a new math skill. Who did it? That's right, we. We did it. What is the predicate? What did we do? We learned. And what did we learn? That's our direct object. A skill. We learned a new skill. Let's look at the next one. We learned that she has a high school diploma. Who did it? We. What did we do? We learned. And what did we learn? We learned that she has a high school diploma. So this whole thing here, starting with that, is, oh my, look at that circle, is a noun clause. It's a clause that functions as a noun. It's a direct object. We learned all of this, that she has a high school diploma. Let's look on page 121 in your interactive textbook. Read each sentence, identify and underline the noun clause, circle the word that introduces the clause, determine the function of the noun clause, and circle the answer. Number 1, we learned that Mr. Perea has a degree in accounting. Identify and underline the noun clause. Okay, we learned that Mr. Perea has a degree in accounting. Circle the word that introduces the clause, that, and determine the function of the noun clause and circle the answer. So who did it? We. What did we do? We learned. What did we learn? That Mr. Perea has a degree in accounting. So it's a direct object because it describes what we learned. Whoever applies for the job has a chance of getting it. Whoever applies for the job is our noun clause. Whoever starts our noun clause. And in this sentence, it answers the question, who or what did it? Whoever applies for the job did it. So it's a subject. Number 3, all teachers, whoever they are, strive to help students succeed. Our noun clause is whoever they are, and it starts with whoever. Now, this renames all teachers, whoever they are. So it's going to be an appositive. Number 4, financial stability should not be the only way by which we judge success. Which we judge success is our noun clause, and it starts with which. It is an object of the preposition. Studying hard is what produces results. What produces results is our noun clause. It starts with what, and it's a predicate nominative. Let's look at this passage, fluency. It's adapted from a selection in your textbook called The Value of Knowledge. This is on page R39 of your interactive text. What I would like you to do is, after hearing me read it, I would like you to record yourself reading it, then send that audio file to me in an email or upload it to this assignment in Google Classroom. If you're ready, I'll start. Knowledge adds value to our lives. With knowledge, we can understand and appreciate our world. Statistics show that knowledge has measurable benefits. Since the 1970s, the United States government has conducted many studies, and these studies show a strong relationship between education and income. One thing is clear: higher levels of education translate into better jobs. and better jobs mean higher wages. When it is all said and done, lifetime earnings increase significantly as a result of having a higher level of education. Studies have examined the relationships among education, employment, and income. Overall, more education translates into better employment and higher wages. Higher annual income adds up to a greater lifetime earnings. Education's economic benefits are clear, but there are some intangible benefits too. The process of acquiring an education gives us skills as well as knowledge. In school, we learn how to learn, and we learn to confidently face a rapidly changing world. We learn to meet challenging new work environments. People used to think that one lifetime equals one career. Today, it's possible to have several careers in our lives, and the key to making transitions is education. Acquiring knowledge is the best investment we can make in our future. And as for the added benefits of knowledge, no one can measure those. What's the value of better knowing ourselves and our world? Priceless. The last thing we're going to do today is we are going to understand how to write footnotes for a research report. When you write a report, it is important to document the sources of your information. To document sources means to give information about the sources of information that you use in your reports. You can do this in two different ways. You can write a bibliography or a list of references or a works cited page at the end of the report. You can also include footnotes or notes at the bottom of every page on which you use specific information from a given source. A footnote provides basic source of information about a passage so that readers immediately know where the information came from. Readers can then refer to the bibliography for the complete reference if they want to look up the original source document. Turn to page 122 in your interactive text. Read the information and look at the example footnotes below, then answer the questions. Let's look at steps for writing a footnote. Number 1, put a small number 1 at the end of the sentence that contains the first source you need to reference. Number 2, at the bottom of the page, begin your footnote by writing the number 1 to match the reference you made in the text of your report. Number 3, then write the author's last name, the title of the work, and the page number of the source you are referencing, unless you are citing an internet source. And number 4, number each footnote consecutively throughout your report. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So if this is your body of the report right here, look at how the footnotes are written. So Thomas Jefferson convinced James Madison that this was a grave error. So you see the number 3 right there. Now you would look at number 3 in the footnotes. Dewland, A Voice from Paris, page 36. So that's your source there. The second one here is Madison drew inspiration from the English Bill of Rights and the Virginia Declaration of Rights. You have a footnote number 4 there, and you also have a footnote number there. Okay, what is the last name of the author who wrote about Thomas Jefferson convincing Madison that it was an error to leave out a Bill of Rights? Okay, so to answer this, we're going to go back up to the sentence about the error. Thomas Jefferson convinced James Madison that this was a grave error. The last name of the author who wrote about this is Dewland. Let's type that in there or write that. We know this because the author's last name is the first thing we write in this reference. What page can that information about Thomas Jefferson be found on? Yep, it's right there, page 36. What is the title of the article that presents information on where Madison got inspiration for our Bill of Rights? Let's see. He drafted the amendments. Madison drew inspiration from the English Bill of Rights and the Virginia Declaration of Rights. So the article that talks about this is in footnote number 4. Declaration hits the road. And what is the last name of the author of Declaration Hits the Road? Remember, the author is the first thing we see in our reference. That's right, Carey. Nice work. Now I want you to go to the next page, page 123 in your interactive text. What you are going to do is work on this by yourself. The two passages below are from a report. They are in the order in which they appear in a report. Read the reference information under each passage. Then use that information to write a footnote for that passage. Remember to include the number of the footnote at the end of each passage as well as next to the footnote reference. So what we just did in the last section, you're going to actually create those references here. So let's look at the last section. So you are writing footnotes that look like this, but with the information that you're given here. So you're going backwards. When you're done with that, turn in your work to me and enjoy your day.